When the servers go down, we'll tell you what's up. You're listening to Realm Maintenance.
Horde Alliance, Goblins, and Ethereals, podcasters and podcastees, welcome to Realm Maintenance, episode 393. I am Einar, but ease is easier, so let's just stick with ease even. It's like 2 episodes in a row, I've gone stuck instead of stick. Ease, let's stick with that. For this week's episode, we're doing a bit of an RNG segment, and this time with a couple returning guests who just live for the lore of Warcraft. They always laugh a lot on their show, with some occasional tears, which most recently come from eating some really spicy chicken wings. And now they are here to talk about the lore of WoW's patch 11.1, Undermined, and what the rest of the War Within has in store for us. It's Ali and Jin from Live Laugh Lore. Hello, guys. How are you doing?
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. I'm really hot. It's warm here. It's like 70 degrees.
Oh, that sounds heavenly.
It's so nice.
It's 81 where I am.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. It's like 50 something here.
That's what it was like a couple days ago.
Yeah. It's going back down to 50 later in the week. But I'm so glad you guys are here. Let's not talk about the weather, because weather is not that important.
That's an intro.
It's not that interesting.
I don't know. I disagree. I took the day off of work tomorrow because I'm like, it is beautiful. I want to enjoy tomorrow's weather.
I should do that. I'm not going to keep talking about weather. Already started with the rabbit hole.
I told you we're good at these.
Ali, how are you doing?
I am good. I am super happy to be here, and any chance to just get away from everything and have fun talking about the game and lore is a good time.
I agree, and I'm happy that you're here because I get to talk about stuff that's going on in the game, and that's always fun. I know that's why you started Live Laugh Lore, and so I just get to leech off of you a little bit here. And so before we get any further, for those everyone should know, but if they don't know who you are, Jin, who are you, and Ali, and what do you do on the internet? I'm just going to give you permission to speak on who Ali is.
Man, you said Ali first, so you go.
Oh, I thought you said Jin first. Fine.
No,
I'll
I'm
go.
saying Jin. I'm giving you permission on speaking on who Ali is.
Oh,
I
you
gotta
get to
go.
speak about me.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's
I'm
dangerous.
confused. I'm like, I gotta tell you who Ali is. I mean, come on, Ali, you can speak for yourself. Yeah, you can tell everyone who you are. But no, like if I'm saying like who I am, yeah, absolutely. My name is Jin. I say a lot of silly jokes, anywhere from what you just heard to politics and everything in between. So yeah, that's. I don't know. I'm a little zany and I like the lore. So that's literally what you kind of get when you listen to Live Laugh Lore.
Yeah, zany and lore. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. Ali, you want to add anything?
I agree with everything he said and mirror everything he said. And it's great because I'm easily amused. So Jin's zaniness mixed with the love of the lore, it's just a good time when we record Live Laugh Lore. It's good times.
It's a great time.
Yeah, I would say it's full of tomfoolery.
Mm-hmm.
And then serious lore discussions and rabbit trails and a lot of what ifs and hypotheticals and all of that.
Yeah, and everything in between.
Yeah.
Hopefully this episode will be kind of that too. And it already seems like we're
I think we're heading that direction.
Yeah, we're heading that direction.
I have a feeling.
That's for sure. Actually, something I've been thinking about the past, like when I've been listening to Live Laugh Lore. I don't know if you've ever made this connection or if this is why you have this in the beginning of the episode, but the how dare you show your face here, faces, and then the laugh every time. I don't know if is that Vanessa Van Cleef? I can't remember who it is.
So I will have to admit it's a little bit of a cheat, but that quote is from Heroes of the Storm.
Oh.
So that is when the Dryad character interacts with Cho'Gall. I believe it's how sometimes the characters talk at each other. Right?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think
yeah.
it's like when she gets a kill on him or something like that. That's what she says.
Either way, what I was gonna say is, I always imagined the first line being Ali, and the laugh sounds like your laugh, Jin.
Yeah, it's kind of on purpose. I kind of admit.
Uh, Either way, I just wanted to share that. Thanks for being here. We are here to talk all things Undermine and Undermined, and including the liberation of Undermine raid and what that might mean for the rest of the expansion 11.2. And so if you haven't finished the raid and you don't want to be spoiled, then this is your warning. You're gonna get a little bit of Little Left Floor here.
Suddenly monkey.
You guys are much better at the bits and the sounds, so it's there at the very least.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Thank you, thank you.
I like that.
But let's start at the end, because that's really what triggered me to want to have this conversation with you guys. The end of the raid, Gallywix's demise, the cutscene. What did you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I talked about myself first, so you go ahead, Ali. What did you think?
I am glad we're talking about this, because there's definitely various speculations in the community, and I want to discuss that. I think if it is his death, which I think it is his death, on one hand, I would have liked to get the killing blow. I'm sure Gazla would have, but being killed by his own narcissistic hubris with his machine and everything is also rather fitting. So I'm good with that.
Yeah, I think what also I enjoyed about it is it also kind of showed how truly weak Gallywix actually was, right? Because
Yeah.
Right, because I mean, our characters we have faced some shit. So, like, I've been swallowed by an old god and had to run through its brain, and I've done some stuff. I've certainly had some things fall upon me and do some things, and yeah, it kind of gave him a little skish, and he's gone. Like, it kind of was like, yeah, that's it. It was almost like, is that it? It was almost like anticlimactic for a reason. Kind of, like I said, to point out that Gallywix seemed like this big, imposing threat when he's walking into that boardroom with the black blood and thing all like that. But you kind of take that away, and it was really not much, but what he siphoned off everyone else. It was almost like a social critique, even, of saying, like, these people are just human, right? Luigi Mangione kind of proved that. So
No, it's true, and I definitely felt that, like, almost anticlimactic first, right? I was like, oh, is that it? And then the more I thought about it, like, first, like, that's kind of disappointing, and then I ended up in the same, like, camp where you're at, Jin, of like, well, it fits. Like,
Yeah.
he could have walked away scot-free, basically. Maybe not scot-free, but Gaslow was willing to spare his life. And he just, not even like, sometimes it's like the villain who, like, they stick to their guns and then that is the end of them. It's literally just standing there kicking his machine and it falls on him. So it's just stupidity that kills him, even.
yeah,
And
just it's perfect. I at first I was very much with the anticlimactic crowd of like, oh shit, like that was kind of lame.
Yeah.
Like, as he jumps out of his little things, destroyed his big mechanism, proving that we can overcome even your little dastardly devices. Yeah. And so he crawls all out, and then it just collapses on himself. He doesn't. It just kind of, like you said, proves his stupidity as well.
Yeah,
and also, like, blaming his failure on whoever built the machine. He was like blaming the machine on it, not his actions or anything like that. So
Yeah.
he can't even see it from that vantage point either.
yeah. and it's, like Noggenfogger was saying in one of his like little you could find his books around the zone, right? And in one of them is like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Gallywix couldn't figure this out because he's all about like just push more power into it. Not doesn't seem that smart, right? His power is in the money,
Yeah.
and yeah, I feel like it really reinforced that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do want to ask you both, since we're here and talking about this. There's some people in the community who think that maybe Gallywix is actually still alive. Do you think that's a possibility at all?
I mean, what do you think, Ease? You're shaking your head over there.
I don't know. It seems like Gallywix has run his course. Like he had this whole patch about him, and he's already been a villain before. I don't know if it's just me not wanting him to come back, but it also just seems I haven't heard too much about this theory, so I don't know what the theory is why he would come back or why he wouldn't be dead. So you can elaborate more on that, Ali. But it doesn't feel to fit the narrative, and it doesn't feel like that's where they want to take Gallywix. They've been stringing villains on for a long time before, and I guess I just don't want it to happen again.
Yeah. Yeah. So I happen to agree with you on almost like 2 points. So is Gallywix dead? I personally think yes. This, the lore team, everyone, probably got together and they're like, yeah, this is his end. He really got introduced back in Cataclysm. Like, come on, everyone. That was a long time ago. What was it, like 12, 13, 14 years ago that he got introduced into the story as this pretty villainous, awful dude? And, like, we're just like, oh, okay, he's a slaver, right?
Yeah.
We don't we don't like those people. Like, that's not good. He's basically the epitome of like the one of the most immoral things that you could do. So it's like, okay, why don't we just kill this guy off? This seems like a very fitting end, as we already kind of discussed. He actually wound up being this incredibly weak-willed person who was just, by a force of personality, basically, to convince these people to go along with him. Because, as you saw, it wasn't Gallywix that even killed Laszlo. It was the Black Blood, right? With, the people he paid, right? He just paid them all off, right? So that's all he really was. He was just an asshole throwing his money around.
Yeah. Yeah, from what I've heard and read, some people think that it's because it's Gallywix and he always has a plan. Even Gazlo mentioned that at one point. And then I think I heard somewhere or read somewhere that because earlier we saw like everything that happened with Khadgar and the Dark Heart, and we saw his glove, his hand and stuff, and he's still alive. And so some people were like, oh, maybe Gallywix is still alive because we see his hand at the end there. And again, it's Gallywix. He always has a plan. Maybe it's because of Black Blood. I don't know. But I can see why some people think that, but I do agree with you both in that. Like it's time for his story to be done. It makes the most sense. And they have so many more things to wrap up.
Yeah.
In this trilogy, like they're wanting, so this is a good one to wrap up and kind of move on from.
Yeah, but they did say they were trying to tie up loose threads, and I think we would have, like, they plopped him into Tazavesh for some reason, like, as a, like, ooh, look at this guy, he's still around, like, like, he's just there for, why the F, and probably in just basically like, oh, he's dealing with some extra dimensional people, there's a thing coming up, he has found himself in the Shadowlands, which I don't think Xalatath was involved at all in Shadowlands, but just like he's got connections, almost just like what it's trying to display there. It would be my only guess because there was no story other than he was there. So I feel like they would even include that as a loose thread after Battle for Azeroth because it's like he buggered off, and the community, they're always wondering where the hell did he go. So it's absolutely time to tie up that loose thread and call it good.
Yeah. The only reason I could see, or I might see myself entertaining that thought, is he seemed so intent on, when Xalatath in that cutscene when she says, "It better be done." I can't remember what she says, and he goes, "Oh, it will be." It really seemed like he was building up something really powerful with the black blood to like fight back at Xalatath. And I guess his machine at the end of the raid is powered by black blood, but it didn't feel. I don't know. It didn't feel as climactic as like, oh, this is like the power of the black blood, right? It just felt like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of mechs, and there's some explosives.
Yeah, like I forgot Black Belt was involved at all, except for that one time that you soak some canisters. That's the only time I'm like, oh yeah, there's black blood involved in all this.
So maybe,
I was just gonna say we totally forgot about the black blood. Even as a storytelling device, we didn't even bring it up in any of our speculations.
Exactly. And so that's the one thing that I could see that them like people like maybe want Gallywix to explore that more, but I think that's probably just something that I missed in the raid because I think all the bosses are supposed to be like empowered by black blood, kind of.
Yeah,
maybe
I think they are.
Right? That would make sense. That's like the whole thing.
A lot of them are utilizing it, if
Yeah.
I'm remembering it correctly. But with, well, I don't know. Like I'm thinking about the reverb. I'm not seeing any
And
black
reverb
blood
was
there.
my first one too. Yeah.
And then I'm thinking of like the crazy invention guy on the conveyor belts, which is a very fun fight, by the way. But
that's definitely black blood, right?
I mean, I don't know. That just seems like goblin engineering.
Yeah, there's no like visuals to show that it's black blood, but I would assume that it's black blood. You and Lex had an episode last week about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's certainly black blood involved in places, but for the most part, it just seems like these are the goblins. They're doing this thing,
right?
But
yeah.
Yeah, it's really Gallywix's little dealy bobber that even involved it at all. If I'm thinking, yeah, because like Muggsy just has his little zappy zaps and freaking toff bending powers on the other side, and then there's the slot machine. Like I don't see any black blood there. It's like, no, I think it's just Gallywix that just kind of was hoarding it all.
He would.
Right. Well, there was that, and obviously, like the entire Dark Fuse, cartel is kitted out with black blood crap. I think the trash is using it, like the Dark Fuse. Like I think you see it in the trash.
Yeah, that's true.
Might be the only real visual. The Vexa gear grinder, right? There's a lot of black blood in that encounter. There's like oil and stuff, and the choppers. No.
I mean, in the adventure guide, it probably mentioned black blood. Here, let me just look up the notes. We had the adventure guides.
And there could be like spells that are named with black blood themes. I admittedly didn't look that much into the spells. And I can't remember any off the top of my head from raiding. When I raid, so we raid on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and this week I'm definitely going to be looking a lot for black blood now with these bosses. Thank you for that ease.
Well, I'm just saying, I just searched black blood in the notes, and that never came up in any of the adventure guides. So
really,
it really wasn't a thing in the Liberation of Undermine. It's really just Gallywix is an asshole, and it's time to take him down. Right? I don't think it was trying to. I mean, they even took the Dark Heart, so I think a lot of that might have come from that. But yeah, the black blood was there from Xalatath originally for his little zappy zap weapon that we saw in the cinematic. So he definitely had access to it, and we have the canisters to prove it.
Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm in the camp that Gallywix is donezo, not coming back.
I agree.
Yeah. Before we talk about the second part of that cinematic, where after he jumps out of his mech, and usually we get to kill the people who jump out of their mechs in dungeons and stuff, like in Mechagon, right? King Mechagon jumps out, and then we have to like hit him until he dies. Vexa Gear Grinder too. We just got a cinematic for that. That's funny. Anyway, before we jump into the second part of that cinematic, we're gonna do a little bit of a RNG, randomly generated question here, just to make this episode even longer. Let's go. What's one place you've traveled to that you never want to go back to, Ali?
we're talking about in the game, right?
I was gonna say
I'm
in real
assuming.
life. I was
Oh,
gonna say
in real life?
Yeah, real life.
I don't know. I have not traveled enough to answer that. Let's say Albuquerque, New Mexico, because it is the most confusingly laid out city that has ever existed in time. Unfortunately, my grandma lives there, so I'm gonna have to go back there at some point.
That's fair.
First thing came in my mind. There we go.
Jin.
Texas. Never want to go back.
Texas.
Just all of Texas.
I'll probably have to go back for work or something at some point, but no thanks. I'm a typical Californian. Come on, we have like a rivalry coming on. Like it's a thing, and I hate the politics. So there you go.
That's fair. There you go. Albuquerque and Texas. Nice. For the record, I would not go back to Croatia.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's I didn't like it. There you go.
There's our RNG.
That was RNG, folks. There's more to come. So this after Gallywix gets pancaked, we get to see a little glimpse of the Ethereals, who we thought for a while, or I thought at least, was part of Xalatath's crew, and turns out they're not. Who are these Ethereals? Well, what are they doing? Are we seeing them in 11.2? What's happening? You guys are the lore people. Tell me what's happening, Jin.
What's happening? So I haven't personally researched it myself. I'm going to be just as shocked and surprised as all of you when we do the episode that I know Allie was working on the notes on already. So but I believe, if I'm remembering the little bit that I do, I think they are part of the Shadow Guard or something like that, is specifically what the name of the organization is. I may be completely pulling it from my butt. I don't know, but there is an organization name for them. And they're like, hey, we're like this voidy thing. Basically, they're not with Xalatath. They're on their own thing. What are their goals? What do they want to do? I don't know. Find out when we do that episode, and I'll find out right along with you. Or right now when Ella tells us if she has got that far.
No freaking idea. Damn it, somebody tell me about the Ethereals here. There's so much we don't know about them yet. And I spent so much time the other day researching for this episode I'm working on notes for, and it's great to get this background, and it's going to lay a nice foundation for the Ethereals, but I don't know, because there is the Shadow Guard, right? And from what we know in the past, the Shadow Guard is the Ethereals that we've seen in the past working with Xalatath. Like we've mentioned that in the past as well. And so when this happened, some of us actually thought this was the Shadow Guard. And it's because we saw shadowy Ethereals working with Xalatath back with and when the Xalatath stuff happened in Ulduar, that area, right? That was the Shadow Guard. I don't know if this is the Shadow Guard and they betrayed Xalatath or a different group. I don't know, because we know with the Ethereals, they have 3 different groups of people. There's the Ethereum, which is the ruling class on Koresh. There was the Protectorate, who was against the ruling class and didn't like how they were doing things. We worked with them a lot on Netherstorm and that kind of thing. And then there's the Consortium, which we've seen plenty of, right? For all the trading and the, thievery and whatnots. And those 3, we know those 3 don't really get along with each other. I know that much. Where the Shadow Guard plays in, if this is a 4th group or something entirely different, I don't freaking know. Because there's such a big question mark still with Ethereals. And I'm also curious to know how some of these Nexus bosses we've been getting lately, how that all plays in, who they're with. I still need to do that research because I don't know yet. But I'll let you. Do you want a little sneak peek of something? Are you ready for this?
I kind of want to do now. You just teased me.
Okay, I know that's my job. So I don't know if you can see on the shelf behind me. It's all 4 Chronicles. Do you know what's not mentioned once in all 4 freaking Chronicles?
I'm guessing the Ethereals.
Not once. They are not in the Chronicles once at
Well, it makes
all.
sense. The Titans might not know about them.
How do the Titans not know about them at this point?
I don't know. There's a good chance that those from the Order point of view never came across them, right? Because they never really show up on Azeroth until nowadays when we got void storage.
I feel like especially because they were so prevalent in Outlands.
Right. Yeah.
I felt like maybe the Titans would have heard about them by now, and maybe we're just
Probably.
not being completely forthright with that information with us.
I'm just making
If these
guesses.
are, from the Titan perspective. But like,
Yeah.
I looked up the Ethereals. I looked up Ethereals in context of the Twisting Nether, because that's where a lot of them went to after Kresh went kablooey. And I looked up the different groups like the Ethereum and Protectorate and Consortium and stuff. None of it. Not in there once. It's crazy.
Because to your point, Jin, they haven't had that much of an impact on Azeroth. They've been in Outland plenty, but
Yeah. The Outland is different, and that's kind of like
Yeah.
in the Twisting Nether, and I'm not aware of a Titan actually going into the Twisting Nether.
True. That's to your point. I mean, it's true.
Right, like I'm not aware of a Titan actually visiting Outland. That was all Sargeras never showed up, and But I mean, I know they have their spies and their ways and all this, their ways of getting information, probably, but it doesn't really explicitly talk about that much, other than the Constellars are the ones that are just like watching them, and that they were employed by the Titans. So, because it's not like we really know who the author is from the Titan point of view, right?
Yeah.
Right, like is this Amun Thul writing down his thoughts from on high, right? Like, because that's one of the things that I always kind of wondered is, okay, if you're not just writing this as an encyclopedic lore book for your video game, right?
Yeah.
And you're trying to state that, what point of view is it, right? So to like the thing that Pyromancer went on about for a long time, right? That it was very like a propagandic almost, like he almost had conspiracy theories around the lore. Turns out he actually was right. It was from a certain point of view. But like, then who's supposed to be writing this down, right? Like, is it one of the keepers, right? Like whose journal is this that we're supposedly reading? This is kind of what I've always wondered. And where is he getting his information from too? Because you're basically trying to claim when you're upstage on BlizzCon saying that, Chronicle is written from a certain point of view. Like, what point of view is it then? It's kind of what because in actual scholarship and trying to, look up ancient texts and things like that, which in many times that's what Chronicle kind of can be considered. We like to try and know who the author is because we want to know the point of view, right? So it's important when looking at old stuff to know who wrote this down, so you can get an idea of why something was omitted.
And I mean, to your point, Ali, it is definitely a little suspicious why they're not mentioned. But also, I can't think of like anything in there that would have warrant them being mentioned. Like, I can't think of an event in Chronicle where the Ethereals had a big part to play.
I mean, that's true. I do agree with you there, and I see both of your points. It just still seemed fascinating to me, considering the other things that are in Chronicles and made it into Chronicles, but not even one mention of the Ethereals. And yeah, like maybe just there wasn't a good place for it to be brought up in a natural way. And I get that. But, it's just, there's such a mystery around them to me in a very intriguing way where I'm super hooked now and I need to know more now. So I don't know. I found that was a little crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, this cinematic really doesn't say a lot. They're like standing in front of some big, voidy
Swirly thing.
planet. Yeah, big voidy swirly thing.
It's a
It's
big swirl, like not
I've been
really
looking-
sure what they're trying to depict there, other than big void.
and you know, it could be like there's like some stuff around it like that looks almost like shattered like rock or something, if they're trying to say that this is like what's left over of Koresh. And they're
I
like,
think it's
look it
something like
up.
that. Yeah. Like, because
um,
if you think about Argus and what Argus was like, right?
yeah,
You know, it does like the shatteredness does make it seem like it's the chunks of Koresh floating around, and maybe that part in the middle is either a void portal being used to go to what remains of Koresh, or I looked at like 3 different content creators this weekend. I can't remember who said it. I really can't remember who said it, but someone thought that maybe it was like a glimpse into the world soul of Koresh,
yeah.
and that maybe they're going to try to use a dark heart on it. Like there's a few different theories floating around, but I think it's Koresh or a
It's-
portal to Koresh.
I was gonna ask, did we know if Koresh had a world soul? Because I could see this like being a very like corrupted or destroyed world soul that is just full of void after Dementias comes and like zaps it all, right?
I think we're going something with that, or something along those lines. Like, I want to believe that because they were hearing that Radiant song before Dementia showed up, right? That something was giving off that Radiant song, just like Azeroth is doing now. So I think there is a world soul there, and there's a good chance that it's super corrupted now with Void. So maybe
Alright,
at one
let's-
point we fight like the Void version of a world soul Koresh, kind of like we did with Argus.
Okay, so just for frame of reference, just to make sure that we know exactly what we're talking about, and I wanted to double check myself to remember what it exactly looked like. I went and threw it in the chat, the Discord chat with the 3 of us, if you want to take a look at it yourself. Yeah, it really looks very Koreshi. Is what I'm kind of getting at.
Koreshi. I love that.
Yeah, it looks like a shattered world with like a heart of the void in it. So, yeah, I think my little guess that some Koresh action is probably gonna be correct. Is my feeling.
And I feel like it would have to be 11.2. Like
Oh yeah,
there's no other real trails for us to follow at this point.
yeah. Like we're kind of terrified of Xalatath, just in like a general sense. But what really makes her terrifying is the fact that she had the dark heart. Because we don't know what she was going to do with it. And that thing was containing a lot of energy, including Galakron, which was a bit of a problem. Right? Like sure, we've taken down gods before, but there's always some collateral damage, and we don't want that thing to get out. So if we can do some preventative maintenance to stop Xalatath before she does her thing. Oh, wait, someone took the dark heart. Well, they're the new target now. Like that's okay. We kind of got to triage the danger, right? The dark heart's the real danger. Like Xalatath is just like, I'm gonna zap you, right? It's pretty like low stakes from what I'm seeing. Like she looks like she could be a raid boss. Is what I'm getting at.
True. And now we have the Dark Heart also has Black Blood and Kajamite in it. So who knows what's going to happen now? They just keep adding like as much crap in there as they can to this like battery of horrible power. Who knows?
Yeah,
And-
they keep like to putting right in our face in the cutscenes where they're like, "Look, it's the dark heart. It's important. Pay attention to it."
It's really swirly and voidy. And
Be
so
afraid.
but the question now is then, I mean, so 2 questions. First one is, are we? Are the Ethereals trying to consume what's left of Koresh, or are they trying to revive Koresh? Are they trying to use the power of the Dark Heart to like somehow bring it back? I don't really know what else you would do with Koresh. Like, yeah, you could zap it, I guess, and get whatever is left of this dying world. But I feel like the end of this cutscene really is teeing up the Ethereals to be like, this is our home. We want to return. And so I wonder if like the Dark Heart can be like a way to restore part of Koresh so that we can actually visit it.
Okay, so the longer I stare at this frame, and is what I'm starting to get the feeling of is they're almost depicting in a way, because I think where like if you look at the entire scene, right, not just like look it's Crash, right, not that part of the YouTube video, but the earlier bit is when we kind of swoop in the first shot. It looks like he is standing in the, I believe, what is the Telegris Rift or whatever. Like that's where it looks like he's standing. It doesn't look like he's on Koresh. It looks like he wants to get to Koresh. It's kind of the feeling I'm getting with him holding the Dark Heart in his hand very ominously in this cutscene. Thank you, Taryn Gregory, for making me feel feels. So
They're good at that.
They're really good at that. So it's like you're using the visuals to kind of like show me a little teaser of what this plan probably is, what the stakes are that's coming, right? The danger that this poses. What it looks like they want to do is they want to, because it looks like somehow the core of Koresh has become void, right? It's like the void has taken over like the literal center of the planet is what it looks like is going on here. So it almost looks like he wants to use the Dark Heart and collect that power of the void, right? Like, and that's a lot of void up in there. It ate a planet, right? So that's pretty serious. And if the next expansion's called Midnight, maybe they do it.
Are you thinking that that's how the War Within ends, and that like Midnight isn't actually the end of the expansion, it's the beginning of the expansion? Because I've always thought, because they've said like, oh, Midnight, we're gonna lose, or maybe we'll lose.
It could go either way. Like there's a part of me that almost feels like because you don't want to necessarily do this World Soul Saga, in my opinion, in storytelling fashion, to completely copy Star Wars, right? You don't need to have A New Hope go, yay! We've already done that so many friggin' times. We've won so many friggin' times. We've got our medals. We've got our titles. We're the damn champions and heroes of Azeroth. Maybe we did get humbled a little bit, especially if you're doing this big, long storytelling arc, because you know it's coming, right? They're not, the lore and the storytelling team, they're not just going to drop a bomb on us. We're like, you lose! Sucks. Video game's over. The planet's gone. Can't really tell a story like that. So we know we're going to win in the end, and yay! Right? But you kind of want to know that, oh, we're going to go on this journey, and there's the lows, and there's the excitement. You create that drama, and then in the last Titan, it's like, yay, big reveal. It's awesome. We think it's like, we get our end game cinematic where we're just like, it's just a freaking amazing, Captain America says, on my left, but no, he hears it, right? Then the portal's open, and crazy shit happens, right? It's going to be amazing. But, like, we all remember kind of how we felt when Thanos went, pop, pop, right? So maybe you want to pull off something crazy and big with this Dark Heart, because Chris Metz is up on stage going, how epic is it going to be? Real epic, right? And you got to create that tension. You got to create that drama. And they're like, normally the storytelling cadence is they got 3 acts. That's all they got. They got 3 acts to tell a story. So it's like, all right, we get the first thing in. We get this amazing questing experience, and then we get a little bit of resolution with the raid in the first batch, and then the next one is gonna be like, ooh, little breather. At least this is the formula that they've been following. I know Ian maybe wants to get out of the exact formula for each expansion to change things up, but this has been the formula for a while, and they did talk about how they created some methods to roll out content faster. I think it's following this formula. So it's been going on for a while, and they've been hitting the paces. So anyways, they got 3 acts to tell the story. You can't tell a story this friggin' epic in just one expansion, because how crappy would it be if you knew that, okay, we just lost and I don't know what's coming next. Right? You don't like when we all watched Infinity War, we all knew that another movie was coming, right?
True.
Yeah.
It was devastating. Some people are weird and that's their favorite movie. But they like the down note. It's my brother-in-law. Just go with it.
I like crying, okay? Just let me cry.
Right? So sometimes you can tell a big epic story when you set up this big serial expansion. I mean, that's why they announced, hey, I'm telling you 3 freaking things coming up. Like, because at Comic-Con, the MCU, for example, was telling us what movies were coming out. Right? So all I'm saying is, the war within, we can lose. The freaking Ethereal may collect the power of Koresh's, like, dead soul, the voided center, right? Like, maybe Koresh had a world soul, and it's a corrupt world soul is what we're looking at. Right? Like, that's pretty freaking scary. I don't know what's coming. Like, as I'm staring at the crust of a planet, cracked open, and a big voidy center. I mean, what's at the center of the Tootsie Roll Tootsie Pop, right? It's a freaking world soul up here in Azeroth, right? Like, that's what it is. So maybe he's like, hey, I got a jar of the dark heart, right? So I'm gonna go suck up a world soul. Like, maybe that's what he's doing. Like, maybe that's what he's looking at right now. That's pretty scary. So I think that would usher in midnight, right? That's something to deal with.
Yeah, because I kept imagining, like, in the 3-story arc, like you were talking about, usually the second act is when things
go to Star Wars.
Yeah,
that's
when
where
things
it all went to shit.
Exactly, yeah. And so I was always expecting that, but I think it would be really interesting to see if it was actually the end of the War Within, and all of Midnight was just bad, right? And we just have to continuously clean up mess after mess and just make it a little bit better all the time, but just constantly fighting. I think Ethereals would be the perfect overarching villain of Midnight, rather than continued Xalatath.
Yeah, and I don't know what their end game is. I don't know what they're trying to do, like specifically what is the Ethereal's plans. I don't know why they wanted the Dark Heart. Like, I was speculating at one point they're like these crazy nihilists or whatever that also believe, like Sargeras, that they needed to destroy the world or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Maybe they're just like Team Void in another way. I don't know what they're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like,
well, after to that point, like after Koresh went explodey, right? There are some Ethereals who went to the Void and was like, hey, give me that Void, just like how Archimon did, right, with the Burning Legion. And so that's definitely a thing that happened, right? And there were also some of the Ethereals who were hellbent on revenge and wanted to take Dementius out. So I'm wondering, are they planning on trying to use Darkheart to take out Dementius and get revenge? Are they going to try to use it to absorb all the voidy Tootsie Pop of Koresh? And then that's a thing now, by the way. And try to cleanse Koresh and reclaim their planet as much as they can. But then that also puts a massive amount of void into Darkheart, making Darkheart even more ominous and bad and scary. But on the flip side, can Darkheart actually take it? Like, that's a lot of void up in that picture, right? So could the Darkheart absorb all of the voidy Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
Is it gonna get it all? I don't know. But like, it was pretty damn ominous when, Xalatath was sucking basically the calcified chunk of a world soul essence up with it, and it was sucking it up. It obviously didn't get it all. Thanks, Illyria. Appreciate that. But like, obviously that's probably what Xalatath's end game was. Like, she was obviously in the process of doing it, right? She's like going like, I would like this Belladar, please. This is a lot of energy, right? And she was trying to do that, get all that. And who knows what she was going to use all that energy for? Probably trying to usher in dimensions to destroy Azeroth, because that's what Locust Walker is trying to tell us. Right? Locust Walker is like, hey, we heard the Radiant song and things went to shit. So, and that's why Illyria is like, oh crap, I gotta go chase down Xalatath because that's no good. That's no good. Oh, and also Khadgar. Khadgar, I have personal feelings. So that's why she went by her. That's why she went by herself. That's why she went by herself. Right. So she's chasing after Xalatath because we got this whole big thing coming, and now we know that we know it's capable of grabbing up that energy. How much can it take though? I don't think it matters. Just fill the battery. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
If you're having to fill the battery for multiple sources, right? Just go to like the most potent amount of friggin' energy you want. And if it's the Dark Heart, it seems to really appreciate void energy. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, oh, it's really easy for the Dark Heart to absorb void energy because, it's like you don't even have to refine it like it keeps doing with all the light energy and things like that. So I don't know. You could probably say I wouldn't be surprised if they threw that in there in some lore explanation. They do silly things like that.
Well, so because that's kind of the second question. If whenever we go deal with these ethereals, who is going to be our guide? Is it going to be Locust Walker, right?
Yeah, it's gotta
be. And what if it's Xalatath?
Well, I mean, it's
not that I'm a shadow priest. I don't. I mean, that's not really part of this discussion. But I'm just saying, what if there's a reason that Xalatath didn't go to Koresh? If that's what's happening, what if Xalatath specifically? Because it seems like it would be much easier to go to Koresh that isn't guarded by the universe's greatest champions, us. And get this massive amount of void energy. And why would she go to Azeroth unless she really needed like a pure world soul energy? And maybe she's like, this is gonna end really bad for literally everyone. And so maybe Xalatath is like, let's have a truce. Let's together take down the Ethereals, and of course backstab us because, I mean, she has to. But well, I don't know. Just saying.
I mean, I say rule of cool, go for it, right?
Right?
And Allie, I'm sure, is like, oh, I'd like to work with Xalatath again. She's a friend of mine.
I did have a very happy moment when I looted a one-handed dagger finally after having a mace for a very long time last patch, and now I got to transmog back into Xalatath for my weapon, so I'm very happy.
Yeah, I had a feeling.
My silliness aside there, I like this idea. Definitely real cool, so why not? Let's go for it. But also, could we trust her? Is there a world ever in which we could trust her? Like, Illyria is going to lose her mind if we start working with Xalatath.
Yeah, like, do I think they're going to do this? No, I don't think they can really justify the story, but is it cool as hell? You could probably use some storytelling devices. Like if I was on the lore team, I could probably be like, we could strike up some bargain that basically says, Xalatath's the only one that knows where they're at. Right?
The enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of
situation.
Right,
like we're looking around, we're like, Illyria, where'd they go? Like, I don't fucking know. Right?
I mean, at this point, it seems like if Xalatath needed our help, then like she's been untouchable this whole time, right? Every time Illyria even gets close, like Xalatath does not care. Like she's unbothered, unfazed. She can just move around, bamf in and out of where she is. If she needs our help, she'll just come and bug us until we help her because we can't touch her.
Yeah, that's certainly possible because she might be like, I need spies on the inside. The Ethereals will see me coming. Blah blah blah. They've been touched by the void. They can sense me, right? Like again, I'm on the story team. They're like, look, you don't know where they're at. Let's make a bargain, and then we're just gonna backstab each other. Like we can't trust her, but we still need to stop the Ethereals.
Yeah,
right. But it's in the end, it's gonna be like she backstabs us and bamps in right at the end and goes like, "Thanks for doing my job, Allie. I appreciate for you wearing the Eye of the Zoth so I can see what you're doing and know exactly when to bamf in and take the freaking, dark heart right at the end and ha ha ha, laugh maniacally and twist my mustache. And yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. So maybe you're going to get
twist her mustache.
Yeah, it was. Well, no, her eyebrows. She's gonna twist her eyebrows.
There you go.
Out here, yeah.
So that's. I think that's what. That's how you could work it to keep the story going. Are they gonna do that? No, I don't think they're gonna do that. But you could. You could. I just think a lot of the community might be like, stupid. Why would we ever trust her? Right? I feel like that, especially with Illyria, kind of like spearheading a lot of the voidiness stuff because she's very void touched. So we kind of trust her. Like we kind of have to be like, hey, lead the way. You're the one that kind of knows this crap. Like Andy was like, okay, I'm just light. Like I had to say Shadow Tendril once, but I don't like to talk about it. So like he's not really super comfortable with the void. He so but maybe he'll come around because Shadow Tendril. You never know. But anyway, we kind of have to let Illyria lead the way with all this voidiness, and I just don't see that being the way they tell that story. I think she's still very dastardly and out there. But could you do it? Absolutely. There you go. You could. Because she's the only one that knows where they are. She's the only one that can get us there, as an option. Illyria can be like, oh no, I could go talk to Locust Walker and see. That's how the community can start poking holes into the Siri. Right. So the Locust Walker will be like, hey, yeah, they're over there. That's
more
probably
likely
how it's gonna work.
And
Locust Walker is gonna lead us through the raid.
Yeah, that's much more likely. Do I want it? No.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Locust Walker, I got some good news and some bad news. Right? Good news. Xalatath doesn't have the Dark Heart. He's like, oh, sweet. That actually is good news. Bad news. The Ethereals haven't. I don't know what they're doing. He's like, the Ethereals? You don't say. Let me go check on them. Right? Maybe he knows. It's like, oh, I know these people. That's my cousin's once removed or something. I don't know. You can just say some stupid shit like that. And just say that, oh, yeah, he has contacts. He knows everything. He's like the wise old man that lets us know what's going on with the void. And I don't know. Then also part of the community might complain that it's like not all Ethereals know each other. That's like racist or something. That's like racist against Ethereals. But I don't know. Maybe in the lore there's not that many of them left because their planet did die.
Yeah, there was that whole thing.
Maybe there's only so many magic bandages going around, and they had to stick together. I don't think that organization is that big. The Titans didn't even mention it in their book. They're kind of flying under their shadows.
Yeah, I never trusted Locust Walker, so I could
He's
see,
a bit sus,
right?
He's a bit sus, yeah.
Maybe it is literally his cousin, and my cousin has it. I know. That was the plan all along.
That's Vinny, he's a good guy.
Vinny, it's fine. Trust him, man. We're gonna go wrong.
Yeah, and that's when Xalatath is going to show up and go like, "Oh, you can't trust Locust Walker. He's in on this shit. He's in on it. He wanted that. He wanted revenge for his planet. That's why he's been breeding you all along, Illyria. That's what's been going on. I'm whispering in your ear, hey, listen to me. This is really bad news. We need to go and stop Locust Walker and his shenanigans up in here. All his tomfoolery up in the void. We can't have it. He's doing his thing." And Allie's going to be like, you're right, Xalatath. We need to stop Locust Walker. Let's stop him.
Sounds good to me. I don't hear any flaw in this logic.
I'm not against this. Do another really crazy, really quick theory.
Yeah,
absolutely.
What if Medivh dies, right? And because of the amount of Fel with the whole Sargeras and everything, right? He dies, ends up in the Twisting Nether. What if Medivh has had a chance to kind of observe what these Ethereals were planning while in the Twisting Nether? And maybe this is a way to somehow bring Medivh back into the story for a little while. Which would A, be awesome because Medivh. B, him and Khadgar can chat and help Khadgar work through some of his stuff going on, right? Teach him how to be, like him and live and be a vision and whatnot, right? And then C, he could help us understand what the heck the Ethereals are up to, because he had that Ethereal and Karazhan for the longest time, which was like way back in the day, an old Karazhan, which was the Ethereal NPC that intrigued me the most, because what the heck is this Ethereal doing right here, right? And, maybe somehow they bring back Medivh, some crazy shenanigans.
I would be down for that. I definitely thought you would go as far as say like, oh, Medivh is now an Ethereal, but I don't. That doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, but that would be really funny.
But yeah, I mean, Karazhan touches the Twisting Nether.
It
right?
pokes its little tippy tap up in there. Yeah, that's how. Because that's like in the original. In the original Karazhan raid, not just like there's some crazy crap that's going on in the freaking Legion dungeon as well. But the story with the raid was that Prince, what is his name? Malthazar? I don't know. Whatever the Prince,
Alcazar or something like that. Starts with A.
whatever the dumb
Alakazam.
asshole's name is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's like, I am Shazam, right? And he's the Shaq genie that we all remember. All right. So anyway, that guy, Prince, whatever, is up there in the Twisting Nether, and the story kind of went that they couldn't really go very far down to the tower because Medivh is just that crazy and Karazhan is just that weird, right? Like Karazhan is like a very powerful and crazy place with all of the ley lines crossing through there and all this just nuttiness is going on. Like the Burning Legion couldn't really get down into, Karazhan. It was, for the most part, it was just like, it was Medivh's craziness and the wacky zany crap that was going on there. It was kind of, cursed and had some ghosts and shit, but it wasn't the Burning Legion. Well, I mean, kind of was, because Sargeras had that fight, but that was later. That was earlier. He was kind of possessed at the time, so,
They made their way in, just not the direct way.
They couldn't get down. They had to possess the owner.
Exactly.
Yeah, the boss had to say, if I need something done right, I got to do it myself.
Literally, yeah. Well, so all in all, we know, we think Ethereal's almost definitely 11.2, right?
Yeah,
I think we can all agree on that. And Xalatath will be our guide. You heard it here first, folks. How about, we're talking about Black Blood. Do you think we're done with Black Blood? Like, is Arwena going to keep, like, having visions? What is that? What are we doing with the Black Blood? What's happening?
So I can ramble just a little bit on this, and then I'll let Allie ramble. But I'll just say just one thing. I just want to make it semi-quick. I can't do anything quick these days. When Taryn Gregory is up on stage at BlizzCon shouting about the old gods are dead, I'm just saying, I think they tend to say things on stage for a reason. That's where I'll leave it, and I'll let Allie continue with that thought, maybe.
The old cards aren't dead. They're not dead. Okay, hold this. If I ramble on that, we're not going to get to Jesus' original question. So let me get to that first, and then we'll go there. But I think we're not done with the Harneer. There's no way we're done with the Harneer, right? Because I'm sorry, Arwena got the really cool cinematic when she's doing all the stuff with the vines and everything. Like, there's no way we're done with that. When they're coming in, I don't know. But the Black Blood is not magically disappearing. It's obviously going to be having a very negative effect on Azeroth. So I don't think we're done with it. I don't know how it fits into the rest of War Within. I don't know if it's going to be addressed in a 0.7 or 0.5 or something like that, maybe, but we're not done.
Nope.
What? My mind is just went places. So, War Within.
That's what we do.
Yeah. The rest of War Within is Black Blood, 11.2, not Ethereals. They have the Dark Heart, but they're peripherals. 11.2 is Black Blood and Arathi centric.
Okay.
We still have the Arathi like tie-in, right? We assume that we're gonna hear more because Farron has been there, but she hasn't done that much yet. She hasn't, she's been around, she's done some stuff, but she hasn't had her big moment in the War Within. And she also had, one of those beautiful pre-rendered cinematics. And so 11.2, Orwena, Farron, Black Blood, Arathi, shenanigans. Somehow we go there, they come here, something happens. And then midnight, boom, we go to the Sunwell because that's the only place powerful enough to transport us to Koresh. It's like a portal, like the Rainbow Road. I can't remember what it's called in
Rainbow
Thor.
Road.
In Thor, the Heimdall way. I should know this, but I don't remember.
I know what you're talking about.
I got to say something before I lose this craziness. So, and I'm sure someone said this before. I'm not that original, but we got to just bring up what I feel they're trying to set up with this thing. So Allie, like even mentioned, she got the crazy cinematic sizzle trailer where it's like, oh, I got the vines. Ooh, the crazy, like the roots. It's the roots, right? So what we're all in there. I was Farron, right? She's freaking awesome. She seems to be a very important character that's going to be sticking with us, and it's going to be doing some really cool stuff as well. And then there was like one other group. I mean, there was a little bit of Derubians was seen, but they weren't really showcased, right? You know what I mean? Like the three people that they were showcasing were the Earthen, the Harnir, and the Arathi. Right? There's three of those, and also there's three expansions. What if we got the Earthen as an allied race? What would if the next expansion we got the Arathi or the Harnir, and then finally the Arathi as a like true separate playable species, right? To basically a new allied race, basically, or a neutral faction, like the Earthen was. You know what I mean? They could go either way. They swing both ways. That's what I'm saying. What if that was the plan for and why they were trying to sizzle reel that? Because Orwena hasn't done much. We've gotten a lot with the Arathi, and we've got this like whole like there's a whole other empire across the way.
Yeah.
Right, like, and there's been some. We're in spoiler territory as it is. I can just tell you, there's been some data mining that all of the assets for the Hardier look like could be an allied race, and they already gave us the cosmetic options for the Arathi. It would be actually kind of cool for maybe just throw in a totally different actually option with a whole new kit. That one's pushing it a little bit just because, you know what I mean? It kind of got the ears. But it's worth a thought that's where it's going to go. So obviously, Orwena is going to carry with the story. And I think eventually it might get to the point where it's like, oh, we've decided to change our vows because we fixed the roots. We've solved the problem, the black blood. It's like we can care and tend for the world if we're not just staring at these roots all day. We're on a swivel. We're actually getting out into society and trying to make this world a better place. We need to protect the entire planet, not just the roots. Some of us will stay behind, but others are going to venture out there, just like Orwena was doing, right? And you could easily say, like, when we actually go to the Arathi Empire, it could be more of like an impact there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's why they're trying to set these three up. Or they're just really cool, and it just makes us go, like, why is she important in the story?
Yeah. I mean, I definitely in the camp that we will get Harrenir as an allied race. Just because they have said we're never getting high elves, I don't see us getting Arathi.
Yeah.
Because
I don't actually think it is because, like I said, they already gave us the cosmetic option in a recent patch.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. But I like the idea. I mean, it's very clear we're not done with either of those.
No.
Right.
Like Orwena's story, even in Undermine, is so clearly not done.
Yeah, because honestly, it really felt like they were using it to kind of really showcase the three most important like story elements to pay attention to, and we haven't gotten much with Orwena yet. So it's still like spotlight's on her.
Okay, I'm changing I don't think 11.2 is Ethereal anymore. I think it's Black Blood and Roots and stuff.
Oh no, I think Orwena is going to be important later on as well, but you never know.
Maybe
it
it's
could be
0.7, like you were saying, Ali, like a 11.
Well,
Yeah.
You could easily say it's like a mixture of two, like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because like Siege of Orgrimmar, you could say it was also about trying to like clean up some of Garrosh's mess in the beginning, right? You could include her in there as well, because then we have to, work with Xalatath and to fight our way through the first like 2-3 bosses to get our way through the portal, and then we, are chasing after them, or that's one way you could do it. Right? Like, maybe the storyline, for example, is they're trying to draw the power, but at the same time, like maybe they're trying to mess with us, right? It's not they've got a contingent that goes and like tries to delay us because they know we're coming out. They know we're coming for them, right? They have to be thinking like, okay, these guys have been on their trail the whole time. That's even how we found out the information. We need to make sure that we got like spies or elements or things like that, and messing with things over with the black blood and doing some stuff like that. So you could easily tie it in both ways, where it's like, oh, it's the defense of Ahuna. What was a Luna here? There you go.
Yeah.
That could even be the name of the raid for all I know.
Another World Tree raid.
You never know. They had that freaking book. Right? Like there's so many different ways that they could take the story, as we're kind of clearly pointing out. But based on the little cinematic that we just got, I'm thinking it's going to be, I think we're actually traveling to Koresh, very similar to like we did to Argus, because everyone actually, like, especially in the lore community, thought that was cool as shit, because I did.
I feel like the setup of Argus was cooler than the actual Argus. Oops.
Well, yeah, the dailies were pretty boring. Just like Undermine's dailies are boring, but it's a very cool city.
I don't think Aegis agrees with you.
I don't like I don't know.
That
I
was
don't
a
like doing
face.
dailies in general. I'm not a big dailies guy. I gotta admit it.
That's fine. Ala, do you have any more thoughts on Black Blood?
I wonder if we might get a little more Black Blood, a little more Rowena in a 0.5 or 0.7, a little. Go to Koresh and 11.2. And then in Midnight, maybe that's when Arena and the Harnier have more of a role with their powers and the roots to help us survive whatever horribleness happens in Midnight, whatever happens with the planet, whatever Black Blood probably gets out of control or something. I don't know, but something with them. And that's how we get through Midnight. And then I'm wondering if Farron and the Arathi might be more of Last Titan, kind of what you were thinking is almost, because there's a lot we don't know about the Arathi Empire over there and the World Core and all this stuff we're learning right now. And so maybe they know more of that. And so maybe Last Titan is more with that group over there.
Yeah, I guess what we're saying is there's a lot of loose ends that they still need to tie up, and
Yeah.
I don't know if they've got the runway, so they might be doing multiple things at once.
I feel like
Probably.
they've made so many loose ends in War Within.
They've tied some up. They've
multiply.
made more. It's a whole thing.
Yeah, like my guess is, especially coming into, this World Soul Saga and the way that they're trying to literally try and tie up loose ends. My guess would be is where the majority of the loose ends might start getting tied up is in Midnight and The Last Titan, especially through their initial questing experience. Only because the big thing that they kind of highlighted with the World Soul Saga is, especially when they're announcing it on stage, is they're saying, oh, we're going underground, right? We're going to the core of the World Soul. So that's one of the first things that we're introducing, that, okay, this is the World Soul Saga. We have to really damn near interact with the World Soul, like with the Earthen and the Thragar and all that kind of the crazy stuff that we're learning there. So it's like, hey, here's the stakes. If you're not reading the lore books, this is what's at stake, right? Like that's probably why they started out there. Not really closing a lot of loopholes. They're almost creating more, right? They're adding to the backlog, right? They're literally adding more freaking storytelling debt that they got to get through, right? So they're making it harder on themselves. But it makes sense. Because the next time that they mentioned is they're saying, okay, we're going to the Sunwell. The Sunwell is going to happen. That's more like, hey, we're tying up a loose end. We're not introducing a new area that we've ever been to. We're talking about areas that we've traveled to before. So we don't necessarily have to add to our backlog. We can start tying up loose ends. And the same thing is true about The Last Titan, is if they're mentioning that we're going to back to Northrend. You know what I mean? Like, we're not going to get new threats. We're dealing with the existing threats that are probably going to be following with us the entire way. Just like we've been talking about in chat and Thanos and all that kind of stuff. Thanos was the villain throughout the big kind of like storytelling arc. And the same thing with Star Wars. It's the Empire. It's Vader. Like he was with us the whole time. So I think they're going to do the same thing with Xalatath and the Void and all this kind of stuff. That's going to be like one of the big major threats, carrying through this big storytelling arc that they're trying to tell. And I don't know if the Dark Heart's going to stick around. Like, that might be taken off the table, but it might continue forward because we still have another loose end that was introduced in Dragonflight, Iridikron, to bring back. And there's a linky there. You don't necessarily have to bring him back for that specifically, but we also know that Iridikron needs to come back. And that's just one more loose end that is tied there.
It's so much stuff to tie up.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's going to be in that initial questing. Like, I don't know where we're going in the thing. Like, they might start trying to tie things up, but I could be wrong, and they're just I absolutely could be wrong, and they might just keep adding to it and trying to tie things up in the process, just like they did with Gallywix, in my opinion.
Bring it all back. Look at you, full circle. And speaking of Gallywix, we're gonna have a quick little palate cleanser before we return to just we need to talk a little bit about goblins by the end of this Undermine lore chat. But we have another randomly generated question, just to let go of Ethereals, let go of Black Blood. Do you ever sing when you're alone? And if you do, what songs? Allie, do you sing when you're alone?
Oh God, all the time. All the time. So much. It's ridiculous. What songs? Wait, I have way too many songs. It's whatever I'm listening to. I have a playlist in Spotify of songs I'm feeling right now, and I'll just throw that on and just let it go and just sing along and have a grand old time.
I want to imagine just Allie walking around her house rapping to herself. Just
some low key rapping. Yes, that has happened.
Oh, nice.
I look ridiculous. It's great.
Show me how to do it. Jen, do you sing?
Yes, absolutely. It's primarily when I'm driving alone in the car, right? If I'm running errands or something like that, and I'm all done with podcasts, right? Like, I'll usually try and get through podcasts. Primarily is what I'm listening to, but there are moments when music is necessary, right? Or you just had a podcast and you really don't want to look for another episode, or you're just not feeling it. So whenever I'm driving alone with music, I have a tendency to just go skip, 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 until I found a song that I'm really good at singing. So, or not so much that I'm good at it or I want to let anyone else hear it, but one that I know the lyrics to and enjoy singing myself, and it's fitting my mood.
I like that.
Nice. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it's usually like Bonnie Tyler, I Need a Hero, or something like that. I'm holding out my hero till the end of the night. Yeah. All the time. Absolutely, I'm singing.
I don't understand people who don't sing. It's, I do it a lot. I don't do it well, but I do it a lot.
Might be a form of psychopathy, in my opinion, but maybe it's the opposite. I don't know.
Everyone's different. Everyone's got their thing.
That's true. I suppose. Let's wrap this episode up a little bit just by talking a little bit about goblins and about Undermine. What's been your favorite bit of story or side quest? Like, what? Maybe it's a bit in the main story, or maybe it is a side quest. Like, what's your favorite? Like, oh, I really liked this in Undermine. Jen, do you have anything that comes to mind?
I would say probably because it's the most recent one I did. I would. There's two good ones I really enjoyed just because they were super funny. Honestly, they were both very funny. With a little bit of tragedy, I will admit. It's not funny when Rosebud died. Surprise, surprise. But that entire storyline of who's in charge of the casino now, right, and tying it back in and helping out the folks that were the game designers, and then helping out the chef, and I don't remember what the last one was. Honestly, it doesn't matter. But that whole figuring all that out with the storyline was just so freaking crazy. The Goblin Court was hilarious. I gotta tell you. Oh my god, I loved the Goblin Court. It was so funny. Um, and then finally the one where you were helping with the wedding was great. I loved that one. That was a great. I don't know, like it was these hilarious little glimpses into Goblin culture, like both of them, like Goblin Court, and just kind of like the way they handled that was super funny. It just like I said, it was when we over there Live Laugh Lore interviewed the devs over there, specifically Mark Collada mentioned that they wanted to um, showcase more of the Goblin like actual culture than just their love for money and things like that. It was super funny of like how he had hired professional crashers, because every good wedding is crashed, right? Like, right?
Yes.
They're like purposely inviting like what I would almost consider to be like, oh, that's not great. Like I think the person that I made sure RSVP'd, I don't remember all of them, but I know one of them was like the auntie. It's like, who's going to bring the drama if not you?
Yes. I had the wedding on my list too, and that was exactly my choice too. It's like,
God, I loved it so much.
a
just
wedding
seeing
has to have drama.
It felt so Goblin, and I also kind of felt bad. I'm like, dude, I'm killing wedding crashers. I hope, like, storytelling wise, I'm just knocking them out, right? Can we just say that I'm doing non-lethal damage in D&D terms? Like, they just fell unconscious. Like, I hope that's what I did, because these guys got paid. Like, I don't want to be taking out just paid actors. That's messed up.
Yeah, there's some messed up stuff in Goblin culture.
True. Yeah.
Allie, what was your favorite part?
I will say there's still some side quests I haven't gotten to yet. Like the quest to do the Galagio stuff that you were just talking about, Jen. I have not actually touched that yet. It is there waiting for me. I did too many delves this past week and not that yet. So 11 like tier 11 delves feel really good right now. So there's a lot of that. But I am looking forward to it. I loved the heck out of the wedding. That was so much fun. I laughed so much during that. Very randomly, there is a daily over at the golf course where you're golfing. Easily amused me. Really enjoyed that. That was really fun. And then if we're going on the more serious side, because there were some serious sides of this patch, the protest, like the march down to the Galagio with the other goblins, like my soul needed to be a part of that. Between everything that happened to Blizzard, so many things happening right now, like there's a part of me that was a healing moment for me to like walk down there with them and like cheer them on along the way. That felt really good. I loved that a lot.
I really like getting to pull down the statue. I'll admit that felt nice. That was
cool.
really good. Yeah, that was a good moment.
Yeah,
there's some real life ties in there. A couple golden statues that would be fun to tear down. Real or imagined or
real or on TikTok.
Generated. I think we all know. Yep.
But yeah, it's been good. It's been good. There's some good zany fun in there, and their attention to detail and creating Undermine was fantastic. I do wish the streets were just a little bit wider, so I wouldn't be playing bumper cars as often with my drive system that I'm not quite mastering yet. But otherwise, it's great, and there's just so many little things that I love. Like even just in the raid itself, the fact that there's just a random huge fish tank aquarium right there in the middle of the raid with like cracks all around it and a Murloc. Not Murloc.
Murloc.
There's a Murloc in there. There's my crab Scuttle that's holding the rum. He's in there. There's a shark in there. Like there's duct tape covering cracks everywhere. It's just, I love this. It's so fun.
It's such a just well executed thematic patch.
Yeah.
Like, it just suffused everything. I just love that you can get run over by hot rods in the raid and
Yes.
get insta killed.
I'm not sure I love that. That's happened a bit too many times for me.
I had someone swap blast me like
Yep.
perfectly.
Oh no!
It was very funny. I mean, yeah, yeah. It was a
It's
little fun.
impressive if you can pull it off because
Yeah.
you gotta really watch for it to come and
Yeah.
you gotta know
Yeah.
the timing.
For sure. Overall rating of Undermine. Where you put? Let's just do a scale of 10. Why not, Ali? 1 to 10. Where's Undermine at?
I'll
Story
give it
and
a
content.
9.
Nice.
So if we're talking story and content, I'll give it a 9. It's been a lot of fun. There could have been more story in there, and it really bothers me that we didn't get any reference to the toss away coin from that short story that we got in the Folk and Fairy Tales book. That was kind of a bit of a bummer, but that's like the smallest critique that really doesn't matter. So overall, I give this all a 9. It's been really fun and impressive and good times. And the music is just
Oh my gosh.
amazing.
It's flawless. I've might have snuck it into our regular jazz rotation here at home without telling my wife.
It's just jazzy music. It's fine.
It's just jazz. It's great.
Yeah.
Jin, what's your rating of Undermined?
I would say if I'm grading on a curve, right? Not so much that saying I require perfection, but I'm looking at like comparing it to all other patches, like in a singular patch, not in an overall arcing view of how well the expansion went and things like that. Like because oftentimes people forget that individual patches of even amazing expansions, like Legion, is some of them are kidding. Like there's the community was
4,000
complaining.
shards.
Like there's some stuff that we didn't really like. We're looking back on Legion with some rose colored glasses because I gotta admit the story was pretty kick ass. Like
Yeah.
like we're not looking at like just like the coolness of it, the patch and everything like that with the whole package. I think this one honestly delivers more than any other patch ever has. Yeah, there's obviously critiques. Nothing is ever perfect, and I think that it would have been awesome if we could have like gone like if it were me, I'd be like, hey guys, and I think Mark Galata really kind of like showcased that as the team wants to do that, right? He really was trying to empower them and do as much cool stuff as they could, but you know, they can only fit so much in every patch, right?
Yeah,
They do eventually have to say no somewhere, even though I don't want them to. But it would be amazing if they had like the like some of the goblins doing the like the freaking coffin dance, like that was doing that. That was super popular for a while on YouTube and stuff. So that'd have been awesome if they would throw that in there with the goblins dancing like that and throw a big party, because that's what funerals were in Goblin society. So we saw that in the Folk and Fairy Tale, that especially when like what was it, like the head of the cartel, a trade prince, right? Whenever a trade prince died, it was a freaking giant bash, right? And they were just kind of showing off how much opulence they really had, and that was a big part of it. And it would have been cool if they could have shown that in there, right? I would have loved that. That critique aside, I think this is some of the most fun I've been having individually with the patch, with the story and the crazy systems that they added in there, just how much I've been laughing and just wanting to keep enjoying the story. So I'm going to give it a 10. There you go. Because some patch has to get a 10. Someone's got to get the 10. And so far, this is, you know, when you're doing ranking listings, you never want to give out your 10, like right out. You ever want to be like, this is the best one, unless there's an obvious clear winner. Because it's like, oh, what if a new one's going to come along? But no. We've been waiting a long time, and I think they finally pulled it off. This was like one of the best patches they've ever done, because it is really good.
It is.
I think I agree. I can't think of another patch that I've enjoyed more than this. So, yeah. Well, thank you guys for spending some time here with me, chatting about all sorts of stuff. And I think we ended up where we thought we would. A bunch of rambling, bunch of randomness. We do have to end, like we talked about in the pre-show. You have to come up with a question, a random question for the next guest on the RNG segment. Are you sticking with what you came up with before?
I mean, I'm sticking with it because
Yeah, I think so. Let's do it.
I personally thought it was a great question, and in fairness of time and making sure that you don't have to edit out a bunch of long pauses of us going, "Oh, geez, what the frick's a question?" So I'm glad that we pulled it out of our butts originally. Yeah. So would you like to share the question, Allie, that we came up with?
Yes. What is your favorite pasta shape?
Yeah. What's your favorite noodle? I want to know.
Oh.
Fit it. Yeah, we had a discussion about that. You know what? And you know what? Hey, Ease, just for you, it's not just pasta. Like we could throw ramen in there too. If your favorite noodle is ramen, that is a perfectly valid answer.
Yeah,
because that's kind of that was the heart of the question for me. Like it was the Italian and all of the noodles across the world. Like, hey, Allie, have you been to Noodles and Company?
Of course.
Yeah, that's not just Italian there. They serve all sorts of noodles there, Ease.
True.
Like,
yeah.
Lots of different noodles. So
all sorts of pasta. You're right. They serve all sorts of pasta. Right.
Amazing.
You can get like udon and stuff like that there too. Like, come on now. Is that pasta?
That's a pasta.
All right.
But apparently it's not a noodle according to Eve.
But it's not a noodle according to you. Isn't that udon isn't a noodle? It's just a pasta? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'm just gonna wrap this up before I can dig myself deeper into this hole. So, Allie, if people want to hear more of you, where can people find you on the internet?
You can find me every week on Live Laugh Lore. Someday maybe I'll get back to streaming. I don't know when, so we'll skip that.
Samesies.
Yeah, right. I am still on Twitter at AleandrasK, but I'm barely ever on there. And then I'm trying to be a little more active on Bluesky. You can find me there at Aleandras.
How about you, Jin?
Yeah, you can find me over at Bluesky at Jin's Joint. I don't look at X. Lots of expletives. I'll just add it there. I already had a couple. So you just know that there's a lot. Nope.
There we go.
Nope. You can find me at Bluesky, folks. Bluesky, Jin's Joint. Yep, that's where you find me. Oh, and also listen to Live Laugh Lore if you liked this crazy banter that we went on.
You should. It's more of this, just without me. So arguably much better.
There was one. Take it easy.
Yeah,
I mean, in a percentage base, you're not zero. It's not 0%.
That's true.
There's some ease in there. There's like a little bit of ease. There's some Berserker in there too. Yeah,
you get more ease.
Some Nick Z. Hey, there's even some Katie. Check it out. Now freaking Blizzard Dev. Look at that shit. We're famous.
Okay.
You are.
It's a great show, folks. Check it out.
Yeah. All you have to do is pay $50 a month to listen.
$50 a month show. Yep. Mm-hmm. Just listen to Berserker. Actually, I think he got up to $10,000 show. It was great.
At one point, yeah. That may have been when we're done recording. I don't know anymore. That was crazy.
Either way, you can find all the links to the show, the free show, by the way, and these two beautiful people on social media. Go follow them. Thank you both for being here so much. It's been a pleasure. You can find me at EaseBRP, as in Bonus Roll Productions, on all the social medias. You can follow this show at Realm Podcast, also on all the social medias. And if you have any feedback, please DM us or email us at contact.realmpodcast@gmail.com. And you can find the home for the show at bonusroll.gg, where you'll also find our podcast directory that covers all Blizzard and other MMO podcasts. You can also find the weekly podcast roundup, which is all of those podcasts that release an episode every week on that website. Follow Bonus Roll GG on social medias for news announcements on new episodes from all Bonus Roll Productions creators, including shows such as Girls Gone WoW, Technically PvP, and more. Until next time, I've been Ease, she's been Allie, he's been Jin, you've been you, and Realm Maintenance has been completed.
Bye-bye. Yep.